How many times have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? How many times have you bent over backward to make someone else happy, only to find yourself empty, exhausted, and unfulfilled? What if I told you that this relentless need to please others isn't a strength? It's a curse. The psychology of people-pleasing is one of the most destructive forces that holds us back from living our true, authentic selves. But here's the truth. The more we try to win the approval of others, the further we get from the approval we truly need, the approval of ourselves. In today's video, we're going to explore the psychology of people-pleasing, the deep-rooted causes, and how to finally break free from this cycle of self-sacrifice. This video will open your eyes to why you feel the need to please others, the consequences of doing so, and most importantly, how you can reclaim your life and your boundaries. Welcome to Awaken Your Essence. Today we're diving into a topic that affects countless individuals around the world, the psychology of people-pleasing. Now, we've all been there, right? Trying to make everyone happy, running ourselves ragged to please our family, our friends, our colleagues, our partners. But here's the question. Why? Why do we feel the need to say yes when everything inside of us screams no? Why do we sacrifice our own needs, our own desires, and our own well-being just to make others smile? And the biggest question of all, why does this lead us down a path of exhaustion, resentment, and a loss of self-worth? This is not just a simple matter of being too nice or kind. The psychology of people-pleasing runs much deeper. In this video, we'll explore the psychological roots of people-pleasing, how it manifests in our behavior, and how it impacts our mental health, relationships, and sense of self. We'll also look at the empowering steps you can take to free yourself from the burden of constantly needing to please others. People-pleasing is often misunderstood as simply being kind or accommodating. But at its core, people-pleasing is a deeply ingrained pattern where an individual prioritizes the desires, needs, and approval of others at the expense of their own well-being and authenticity. It's when you bend your boundaries, sacrifice your time, or suppress your own feelings to avoid conflict or to gain approval. People-pleasing can be subtle. It's not always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the small, everyday actions. Maybe you stay late at work to help a colleague, even though you've got your own tasks to finish. Maybe you agree to plans you're not excited about because you don't want to let someone down. At its core, people-pleasing is about seeking external validation. The idea that our worth is defined by how much we can give or do for others. People-pleasing doesn't just happen overnight. It's often a learned behavior, one that begins in early childhood and is reinforced over time by experiences and social conditioning. Let's break down some of the primary causes of people-pleasing. One of the most powerful drivers of people-pleasing is fear of rejection. As human beings, we have an innate desire to feel accepted and loved by others. When we fear rejection, we go to great lengths to avoid it. For many people-pleasers, the thought of someone being upset with them or not liking them feels unbearable. This fear of rejection often stems from early childhood experiences where we learned that our value was tied to being loved, liked, or praised. In adulthood, this fear shows up in relationships, work environments, and friendships. We may agree to things we don't want to do or overextend ourselves just to avoid the discomfort of being rejected. For many people-pleasers, their desire to please others is rooted in low self-worth. They believe that they are only valuable if they're doing something for someone else. When we don't believe we're worthy of love or respect on our own, we seek validation from others. We tie our sense of self-worth to how much we can give, how much we can sacrifice. This can lead to a pattern where people-pleasers feel empty inside because they have neglected their own needs. While continually trying to fill others' needs, they've lost sight of the fact that their worth is inherent, not based on their ability to serve others. People-pleasing can also be a way to maintain control in relationships. When we anticipate the needs of others and act on them before they even ask, it gives us the illusion of control over the situation. It's as though we can avoid conflict or disappointment by taking responsibility for others' happiness. But this need for control often leads to a loss of autonomy, both for ourselves and for those we're trying to please. In fact, People pleasers often become resentful when their efforts to control the dynamic aren't appreciated, which creates an internal conflict between wanting to help and feeling taken advantage of. If you grew up in an environment where love and approval were conditional, people-pleasing can be a survival mechanism. In some families or cultures, love is only given when we fulfill certain roles or expectations. As children, we learn that by being the good child, the helpful child, the quiet child, we can avoid conflict and secure love. This behavior often continues into adulthood as we seek out relationships and situations where we can replicate that feeling of being accepted for who we are, or rather, for what we do. While people-pleasing may seem like an act of kindness or generosity, it often leads to deep emotional and psychological consequences. Let's take a look at some of the most common consequences of living with a people-pleasing mindset. Constantly putting others' needs before your own is exhausting. People-pleasers often find themselves burned out because they are constantly giving, with little left for themselves. This exhaustion comes from the emotional labor of trying to maintain everyone's happiness and avoid any conflict or disapproval. It's a never-ending cycle of saying yes when we really want to say no, and doing things we don't have the energy for. One of the most insidious consequences of people-pleasing is resentment. When we constantly give and sacrifice for others without getting anything in return, whether that's gratitude, recognition, or simply the respect of our boundaries, we start to feel resentful. We feel frustrated because we've been giving so much of ourselves without receiving anything back. Over time, this resentment can build up, causing emotional distance, passive-aggressive behavior, and even the breakdown of relationships. People-pleasers often lose sight of who they truly are because they are so focused on what others want them to be. When you constantly shape yourself to meet the needs and expectations of others, you begin to lose your sense of self. This can lead to identity confusion, where you no longer know what you like, what you value, or what you want out of life. You become so attuned to other people's desires that your own voice gets drowned out. When we're constantly saying yes to others, we allow our boundaries to become blurred. We begin to tolerate things we don't want to tolerate, and we let people take advantage of us. This leads to a lack of personal space and emotional exhaustion. Healthy boundaries are crucial to maintaining our emotional well-being, but when we're always trying to please, we forget to protect ourselves. The first step in breaking the people-pleasing cycle is awareness. Once you understand the psychological reasons behind your behavior, you can begin to make changes. Here are some strategies for reclaiming your life and breaking free from the need to please others. Learning to set healthy boundaries is the key to overcoming people-pleasing. Boundaries are about respecting your own needs, feelings, and time. It's okay to say no when something doesn't align with your values or goals. It's okay to take time for yourself. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It makes you self-respecting. People-pleasers are often their own worst critics. If you're someone who struggles with saying no or prioritizing your own needs, practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Recognize that it's okay to put yourself first sometimes. You don't need to earn love or respect by overgiving. You are worthy of love just as you are. Take time to rediscover what you want in life. What are your goals? What makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing? When you focus so much on pleasing others, you forget to ask yourself these questions. Take small steps toward connecting with your own desires and passions. People-pleasing often stems from a fear of being vulnerable. We worry that if we say no or express our true feelings, we will be rejected. But true connection comes from vulnerability. Embrace the discomfort of being authentic. When you show up as your true self, without the need to please others, you create deeper, more meaningful relationships. If this video resonated with you, I want to encourage you to take a step back and ask yourself, are you living for others, or are you living for yourself? If you're ready to break free from the curse of people-pleasing and reclaim your authentic self, please like, comment, and share this video with anyone who needs to hear this message. Don't forget to subscribe to Awaken Your Essence for more content that will help you reconnect with your true self and live a life of integrity and freedom. Remember, you are enough as you are. You don't need to please anyone to be worthy of love, respect, and happiness.